We're already running late.
Yeah,
they had the little soccer in the streets, like little pitch, like right behind the pizza spots. There was like kids playing out there, and we were there. It was very cool.
Yeah, it was a cool spot.
Nice. It is April 17th, 2023. This is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast.
Oh, God. It's so tight. Can't do it.
That's quite the pop for number 200. Thank you guys for tuning in on this lovely Monday evening here in Atlanta. This is episode 200 of Atlanta United FC Weekly. I think it's 200. I think we've had some lost episodes along the way, but we're going to say this is the show.
Yeah. Speaking of a good pop,
yeah,
we're popping off with all the guests tonight for episode 200.
I am Tim Herb. As always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bradley to my left, and Dan James across from me in person. This is strange. I had to go. The reason we're late, guys, is I had to rummage through my office to get the mixer, get everything that's needed for more than two people to record together. So it took a while.
It's the first time back at the office after COVID, basically.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Having joined us tonight is Eric Quintana.
What's up?
Up in the top right. We got Payson Schwin down on the bottom left, Joe Patrick down on the bottom right. How are you guys?
Hello.
Doing well.
I'm glad to be on because I feel so bad. I've had to turn down. I think it's been Tim that's messages me from the Home Before Dark Twitter account, and for very random reasons, I've had to decline the last several times. So I'm very glad I could be on because I actually just got the notification on my phone that that Home Before Dark has gone live. So
see, that's a lesson to everybody listening and watching. If you guys are watching us on YouTube and you want to get notified whenever we go live, subscribe and hit the notification bell icon like Joe Patrick does. So,
and we are so desperate, we will hound you 7 or 8 times to get someone on the podcast.
That's really the whole reason why we've gone 200 episodes, is to have an excuse to keep messaging people to come back on.
Well,
Joe said no again.
Listen, to go 200 episodes really is a feat. And I will say it's a testament to you guys in just the dedication you have for doing this. Because, I know as someone who's been podcasting through a lot of this, sometimes you just don't want to do it. and Atlanta United has made it very
in previous seasons.
easy. Yeah, exactly. So
and with
you guys have
co-hosts
persevered this long
sure.
is worth a toast.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, congrats, y'all.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Cheers to Tim, really.
To me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
He's really the one to celebrate in all this. And Brittany S., of all people.
Yeah, that's right. I think Brittany S. has missed one episode, maybe.
Yeah.
Brittany S. has missed less episodes than I have.
Oh, yeah. That's dedication that we speak of. Speaking of which, I guess we should keep going around the table. Joe kind of took the first. Eric, it's been a long time since we've been chatting. You've won a podcast award, right, with Tenderfoot?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear. Okay. Yeah. We're won an Ambi with the Up and Vanish Trial Series. We're up for a Webby for the trial series. So we'll see if we win that. You can actually go vote for that one. There's a fan vote, and then there's a judge's vote. So
I voted for you, buddy.
Thank you,
I
man.
saw you.
I appreciate
it in that whole awards thing.
It was a surprise for me. I didn't expect that one to. I just didn't expect it. So it was nice to be recognized for all that hard work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Payson, been a really long time, I feel like, since we've talked to you. I think we've had kind of misconnections too. I think I put a couple on Craigslist one time. But
I saw you. I think we podcasted before. I don't have any awards to announce or any ballots, but life is good. Still a founding member of Atlanta United, baby, and we're good again. So life is good.
Are you the only founding member left on in this discussion? Because Kevin and I have both given up our season tickets. Dan this plastic was.
I never gave up my season tickets.
Yeah, because you never had any to give up. Yeah,
I've got a founding member season ticket actually.
Okay, sweet.
Oh, really? You still hold on to that?
I still, I can't give it up.
Yeah, it's like the first 2 seasons I didn't go to a single match, even though I was season ticket holder. I just gave them to friends.
I didn't renew my media credential, so that's how I feel.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Yikes. I'm
Ooh.
starting to regret having you on, Eric. No, I'm starting to think this. No, we need the heel, right? Like if watching WWE,
That's right.
WWF growing up.
I'm just here for Eric Vijaba hot takes.
No,
really,
like
at this point.
we'll call it a hiatus or whatever we want to call it, because I've essentially given up on the podcast, given up on the media stuff. I am on full break mode from covering Atlanta United that way.
And we're all
I'm just a fan now.
Yeah.
Look, we've logged 200 episodes
Great.
by completely giving up, so it's okay.
I was gonna say, I think the five of us outside of you, Eric, are sad to see that, but I think one person that's probably happy that you finally given in is Trains, right?
I blocked him so long ago that I don't know what he's up to.
I
he's up
have
to.
not thought about that person.
Same here, yeah.
The only
Are they
reason I
still
get
around?
the only reason I get on Twitter now is just for everyone to agree with all my Joseph Martinez takes from like a year ago.
Nah, yeah, that's good. Good validation.
Are you quote tweeting yourself from last year and just saying?
No, I'm
you
not.
liked it? Yeah.
I'm not that hardcore. I don't care that much. But
That would be
I do like
very
to like to get on and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I said something like that last year, or hey, yeah, I had that thought last year.
Yeah.
I had one opportunity to quote tweet myself about, it was on some Cincinnati fans. Because I said that Joseph
Punch down,
Martinez
Dan. I love it. Punch down.
had scored a crazy goal in their new stadium, but it was actually they're not quite their new stadium yet. And then he did the overhead. Oh, it wasn't it. He scored another amazing goal in Cincinnati Stadium like a year later. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can see the future. But I tried to find the tweet and then just gave up because I couldn't find it. So
That's the hardest
that's
part.
that's my commitment.
digging
to
through
Twitter.
the tweets.
Yeah. Where do we even begin? Where do we begin? I mean, I think the highlight of the night is finding out that.
I thought we were going to recap all 200 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're actually gonna
I
go game
studied
by
up,
game from the past 5, 6, 7 seasons.
I need a negative and a positive from everybody on every episode up until we stop doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will
Thank
say that I did go back and listen to 2 episodes, and it was the one before MLS Cup and then the one afterwards.
Yeah.
Can
those
we?
are good
Can
ones.
we? What you really should do is go back and listen to the very first episode.
Nah.
That to me would be. You know what?
Instead of no, because he wasn't on it yet.
Instead of you should go back and, we should grab it now. Like hire one of your minions to go back and grab it now, and then we'll play it now, and we'll just critique.
I'll pull it
Before
up right
and
now
after.
while
There
we're
you go.
talking.
Boom.
Somebody's got to not talk.
I
It might as well be me.
don't even think it wasn't even intentionally about Atlanta United because we were just podcasting about random shit, and then Kevin and I just talked about the entire game, the
Yeah.
opening night. And,
Oh, really?
I don't even know if we had it wasn't even on the podcast stream that we have now. It
Yeah.
was on our old one.
Yeah.
Banter
okay.
Network.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
talking
nice.
about The Walking Dead.
Which in hindsight, it makes sense because it would have made sense to keep banter if we were talking about soccer, right? Like, yeah.
But
It
we
just
had to
didn't
go
happen.
for the
Full
Atlanta
rebrand.
United
Full
FC
rebrand.
Weekly.
And we get sued by Keely Jones anyway for doing that.
No.
Well, we
All
could have
right.
sued her.
We're just
Yeah.
gonna talk about Keely Lasso now.
Oh my God.
The Keely show.
Hey, I'm
which
not
is
caught
Ted
up.
Lasso.
Shut up. I'm not caught up.
When
I'm
you
so
think
far
about
behind.
it, when you think about it, it's crazy because, like, obviously Atlanta United was so, the way they kind of came on the map was like, it was like, it was huge. It like, kind of like overtook
Yes.
the city and everything. And you guys remember for a time there was like Atlanta United media
Oh, dude.
insane, and it was awesome to see. And then obviously, everything that basically happened. But I would say it was even starting to drop off, even like late into 2019 season. But then, obviously, the pandemic and those terrible seasons happened. That really, it was like the weeding out process of, and obviously, so many life events change. Like you had to make decisions on what you're going to do, because so many things were in upheaval around that time. But it's crazy to think about what it was like before that, when, like, I don't know what Jerry Riddle's doing, but he was going crazy with all these videos, and there was like,
Wasn't he on the
Reddit,
cover of some? He had like his
he was like
tattoo on
he's in the New York
a
Times.
New York
right?
Times.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh, was he really?
Yeah.
yeah.
Jeez.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was-
Because it was like Atlanta fans are actually really great. He had no idea, and there was all this national news coverage.
Where is he now, by the way?
I feel I was just gonna
Don't
say,
know.
and it might be crass to say, Eric, but I feel like you guys should up and vanish series on Jay Riddle.
I haven't heard from him. The last I heard from him was I want to say maybe like a year and a half ago, where he just kind of hopped on Twitter for a second to tweet something and then like get the reaction and then hopped right off.
Didn't he come on your podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Last year
Oh.
he came.
Yeah,
he came
last
on.
year. Yeah, I thought I remembered that.
Yeah, he's like big into NFTs. I don't know if you saw whenever he took over Joe Patrick's
Makes sense.
account
Yeah.
earlier. He hacked his account and
Oh my gosh, that was insane.
Are you calling Jay Riddle?
No, why would I do that?
Oh, Joe, yeah, that was your best work when you were hacked. Oh,
So
man,
that
okay.
happened. That happened to me during a Falcons press conference.
Jeez.
And I was freaking out, and I didn't want to like leave the press conference to go to my computer
Hey,
and try
Jay, what's
to
up,
get in
man?
touch with Twitter.
What are you doing?
Recording episode 200, sitting here talking with Eric Quintana, Dan, Payson, and Joe Patrick. And we were talking about Mr. Jay Riddle, and what better time to call and get you to loop in here than you actually answering my phone call.
Holy cow.
I thought he just called in.
How you been, man?
Good. I just got back from New York. I was there for a week at an NFT conference, so just chilling.
Eric is clapping. Unfortunately, I can't wear my headphones. Talk
Patch
on
him in.
speakerphone, and
Patch him in.
if we start plugging in wires into this soundboard, this whole
It's
thing
gonna
might go
fry.
up in
Yeah.
smoke.
It's gonna fry. It's gonna go up in smoke at this point.
On my behalf.
So what are your thoughts on the team so far this season?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I'm vibing with it, you know? Like, well, I mean, it's better than last year, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's where all the podcasts went to die was last season.
So, I mean, to go to Toronto, and I know it was tough, like the way it went down, but to get a draw. I mean, we used to always go to Toronto and just feels like we got our ass slapped. So, you know, and to play Red Bull and put up a fight. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. It just seems like the team has some sauce, and you know, with time, we'll put it together even more.
So last two questions while I got you. What's the ceiling for the team, and what's the hottest thing on the NFT space these days?
So most NFTs are scams, guys. So be careful. Do your own research. Number one. Number two, the ceiling, as in where do you think that? Like, I think they're going to place.
Yeah, where do they go this season based on performance? What are we, a quarter of the way in so far right now?
Maybe. What are we, 7 games?
I think we're exactly a quarter of the way in.
Wow.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. It's just a matter of like I don't know. They'll go like the middle of the table, like sixth place maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear your voice, man. I'm glad we were able to catch you. I'm really glad you answered the call. That made this show
So nice to hear from you.
exactly what it needed to be. So
Awesome.
all right, man. We'll catch up soon.
Bye,
Love you
Jay.
guys.
All right,
Bye-bye.
love you, man. Bye.
So
Incredible.
I think Jay actually like touched on think the majority sentiment, which is that people are having a good time. You know, and it's
absolutely.
like, you know, they might not be the best team in MLS, but they're fun to watch. They're entertaining to watch, and it's an improvement. So
Not so much in
people
the
are
NFT space, though.
yeah,
Around the team, yes.
yeah.
NFTs are a scam. Atlanta United is the real deal, baby.
You heard it here first.
No, I mean, even as a season ticket holder, the energy's back. You know, people are really excited. There's a lot more, you know, that everyone's chanting near you. There's actually energy in the stands compared to last year when you're like, oh shit, when is this team gonna tie us up or beat us in the last second? Wait,
Well,
that did just happen. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
but in the home games have been electric. So, you know, I feel like we're back in terms of energy in the stadium space.
I think the thing that's been missing the last 2 years is that there's this sense that we can go out and we can score. It doesn't seem like, it doesn't feel like, you know, we're going to struggle to find goals where we go into every game knowing we have to score 2 goals at least to win because our defense is so bad and we don't have a goalkeeper and Miles Robinson, all that stuff. Whereas this year, obviously with recent events with Guzan, that's different, but you know, you didn't have those same sort of worries, and you were finding ways to score with our own version of the Greek Freak and Almada and Araujo and everyone else has been involved. Wiley, it's just it's been fun to watch. It's been I think if you're a fan and you're wondering kind of how these things go over the course of long term, obviously it sucks in the moment, but these waves are so normal over the course of an entire franchise.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're going to have these 2-3 year dips, hopefully not 3
Yeah.
years, but
Yeah.
2-year dips that kind of, when you're getting out of it, it's so much fun.
Yeah. I think
you ride that like you're surfing, and then, at some point it's going to come down and you got to ride that too.
The crash will never come.
Right.
We're going to ride it high, baby.
It's going to come. But if you could, that's what makes you a true fan, is that you ride through those low points so that the highs feel, even more incredible.
Well, I think that's the biggest fear I feel like for an Atlanta fan base is, will the city sort of ride with the team over the down years and still have a fan base like the Portlands and Seattles and even Toronto, right? Like they're going out and showing up in droves week in and week out, whether they're top of the table or bottom of the table. And, coming out of a couple of down seasons, I don't think that there's been a precipitous drop off in season ticket holders, even if some people have given up their season tickets for family or whatever it may be. There's still a wait
Or
list.
just because they're plastic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I have an excuse, right?
Yeah, I think you have an excuse. Anybody has an excuse. So to me, it's been, and this may sound weird, but I feel like we've had some more emergence of characters within players that fan base has more been able to latch on to. Like Ibarra has really come through with his personality finally this season. So I mean, he was always talked about like being that bulldog in the midfield, the destroyer type, and we've seen him now develop into that, which has been great. Caleb Wiley, I didn't think we would honestly have a homegrown attacker be successful in this squad, because that's where you generally put your DP money that we've seen in the past.
Dude got called up by the U.S. men's national team. Like, we haven't talked about that at all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Isn't he gone for a month now?
Huge.
It just like lends credence to us talking about him maybe even being gone this summer, or like getting a transfer deal this summer.
Yeah.
Like looking at what happened with Alphonso Davies. Obviously, I don't think Caleb Wiley's at that level yet, but I mean, Alphonso Davies is the best left back and left wing maybe in the world.
Yeah, I think that's pretty true.
Yeah, but you look at
Brett
guys
Shea
like,
is so
you guys, you look at guys like Caden Clark, Caden Clark up in Red Bulls, and Paxton Aronson, Brendan Aronson, like all those guys that I mean, Paxton Aronson didn't play that long in MLS, and he's gone, right? Like he's playing for Frankfurt now. So, like I think that anyway, I'm gonna enjoy him while we have him. But seeing like Miles Robinson grow into, I mean, he's the veteran in the team right now, the veteran defensive defender who's probably going to be gone too. But it's just been great watching these guys come to fruition, and it's really as a fan base helping mature that fan base by seeing these guys develop and grow over the years, so you can and be successful in the team ultimately.
And I would add to that, Dan, it's interesting to see it from a perspective from inside the dressing room too, to see how the team has changed. And now, before, like in that, I would call it like the first version of Atlanta United, which is basically like through 2019, you pretty much had a group of players that, came together for the franchise starting, and everybody was kind of new and everybody was in a similar situation. And things have evolved now to a point where it's like you have a distinct difference between guys like Brad Guzan and even Miles Robinson versus, some of the other players, like a Caleb Wiley, for example. Like you didn't really kind of have that kind of young, homegrown, rising prospect in some of those early teams. And then also you have, the contingent of your, designated players, and you have some new nationalities now involved with more Brazilians. So you've just got kind of this evolvement of the dressing room itself too, which I think the players kind of feel.
Nothing's been more involved than Payson's ability to make everyone sort of like give a little tweak whenever he's dropping supreme level dad jokes over the course of the past few seasons on Twitter. I think that's been the highest evolution in over the course of
I've worked on my craft for many years, and it's
it really is impressive.
I just hope we don't lose you in the summer transfer window to
no, I'll be here. I'm not moving. And but speaking of bringing in new personalities like Gorgeous George, the Greek Freak, I was really worried about.
Hold on, is that like an actual nickname we have for him, or did I?
No, I mean it's.
I just happened to say that because
it's like
he's Giannis Part 2, I guess. But
okay,
We can't give Eric
Gorgeous
that sort of
George
credit.
is.
No, I don't want the credit. I was hoping someone else had just labeled him our own version of the Greek
You
Freak.
got enough awards, man. Let it go.
Yeah.
Take it away, Payson.
No, I was just gonna say the dude is a goal scoring machine, but he's also clearly got a great personality. He's got a little bit of that Zlatan edge to him. So I love the guy, and he's a great replacement for Joseph. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. Hopefully, doesn't have injury bug like we've had in the past couple of years. But knock on wood.
Yeah, I like his humility as well. Like I totally get the Zlatan comparison, but he's not as much as a cunt as.
No. He's not. He's not an asshole, but he loves to score clearly and loves to be. He's like, I think Joe, maybe someone brought this up in the writing recently where his intro was like, you can't say my name right now, but you will be able to say my name after every goal I score for you.
Say my name.
So I love that confidence.
I just want a clip of Giacomakis, like clips of people trying to say his name with that song. That's not my name in the background as he's scoring goals, like one after the next.
Yeah, I've been listening to some Peloton rides. I'm like, this song should be chant in the stadium. That's one of them. And then Pump It by the Black Eyed Peas.
Specifically listening to Peloton rides, not actually working out.
Yeah. Look, I've seen his stats. I wouldn't be. I'm not convinced that's not what he's doing.
You guys know how kids watch like Twitch streams of video games,
right?
Dan is.
You don't even have to watch
other
it.
people cycle.
You just turn it on and put your phone down.
He's getting a great workout. Look at that.
Look at him go.
Andy walks in the room. Are you watching Peloton again? I'm just trying to learn how to be my best.
Get all these credit card charges for Peloton super chats. Yeah.
I bought some new shoes the other day. Peloton shoes. Never
just walk around the house in those.
That's right. No, I can't even. They make me fall over. But
oh my god, it's amazing.
No, I think you guys are right in hitting the nail on the head in terms of like the characters that are on this team. I agree wholeheartly because I didn't really feel that with as much as I was an apologist for him. I didn't feel that with Moreno.
He's like the opposite of personality.
Yeah. I found myself defending him on Twitter more than like actually enjoying watching him. Like just trying to be a contrarian or something. No, I wanted to see something in him, but like the same thing. Like I feel like that's been the same for a lot of players that we've seen come in and out. I mean, obviously, like Fernando Meza. Who? Yeah, exactly. That's a name.
I honestly don't remember that.
That's a name.
Oliver Shannon.
It's funny how quickly they like just vanished from memory.
Yeah.
Now they're like that friend you had in 7th grade. You don't remember. Yeah.
Manuel Castro.
That was
Castro.
I will always remember the mullet he had. He had a good mullet.
No, he didn't have a mullet.
Yeah, he did.
Did he really?
Yeah, he had a little baby mullet.
You sure it wasn't Breck Shea?
Who else have we forgotten about?
Oh shit! Chris McCann, Kenwin Jones.
Oh, I remember Chris McCann.
No. But Chris McCann,
JJ Williams.
JJ Williams, yeah.
JJ Williams. I thought you were going to say Jacob Peterson.
Jacob Peterson.
Oh, I remember Jacob Peterson.
Yeah.
You mean
Super
Joram Mormont?
Yeah,
Joram Mormont.
Yeah.
Who else?
We do owe that win against Toronto, right?
Oh no, that was against Sporting Kansas City.
That's what it was.
In Children's
That's
Mercy
right.
That's right.
At the death.
Yep.
Bobby Boswell, anyone? Come on.
Hold on. No one
forgot
his name.
No, but anyone remember what he did on the field? Absolutely.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
I like really cool dude. I haven't addressed the trap at all. We'll get there in a second because Elliot Beaven brings a good one. Dion Pereira.
Good one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's playing for Bradford.
Dion Pereira, weakest handshake I've ever shook in my life.
That's not
good. It was like, it was bad. It was really bad.
How about Mark Bloom? Who remembers Mark Bloom?
Wow.
No, but he was in the team for a while.
He was one of my first interviews.
Yeah, he played a great breakout game against Montreal.
And then he was injured for like 2 years and retired.
Yeah.
It's
Zach Lloyd.
I think he's like doing real estate or
I'm pretty sure.
I heard. Hold on. Who it was? It Mark Bloom that was doing. No, he was like a server. Who I saw it on the. Oh my gosh, I've been so out of the game. I forget the names. The Footy Mob Facebook page. They were talking about. I want to say it was.
Where are they now?
Hold on. Did a Footy Mob member get served papers by Mark Bloom?
Wow.
You've been served.
Hold on. I'll get back to you. Hold on. I'll find this.
Man.
Oh, my God.
You're getting a divorce, aren't you?
Oh, no. Mikey Ambrose apparently was waiting tables.
No way.
Oh, that
No
has
way.
my heart.
Maybe. Well, hold on. Maybe it was for fun.
It's
Maybe,
MLS, baby.
You know, there's a lot of people who look like Mikey Ambrose. I
If he
feel
was
like.
selling Boy Scout popcorn, I'd believe
Could be a
it.
Did Mikey?
misidentification.
Hold on. No. The restaurant.
Scout
That's a
popcorn.
deep cut right there.
The restaurant confirmed it without confirming it. If you know what I mean. But I wonder how much. If you're thinking about how much money. Like he was never really a big star in MLS.
So he was probably making more at said restaurant than
Well,
with the first team.
Good restaurant. Very well.
He was
could be.
probably making a living at playing
Yeah.
in MLS, but never making
Mhm.
like
No.
crazy money.
You go work
over
at
there.
like
Yeah,
King
yeah,
and
yeah.
Duke or something. I'm sure he was making double what he was
Dude,
making.
like servers at King and Duke might make more in a year than we do.
Yeah, no
Oh
kidding.
yeah, if it's a
like-
nice restaurant.
You know, it's funny. There was an Atlanta United drafted a player. He was from Stanford, and I forget his name. He like basically played with the twos. Can't remember his name. But I was thinking like, this is crazy. Like he's a Stanford grad and he's playing soccer for Atlanta United too, making like, I don't know, $50,000
Right.
maybe. You
With
know,
a
it's
degree
like
from Stanford,
that's
yeah.
like the median, Stanford grad income is probably close to six figures. I was shocked, but that's what kind of one of the challenges that I
was
think
his public facing job, though. I'm sure he was like an investment, like
He was doing NFTs
investments
on the side with
Yeah,
Jay Riddle.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how Jay Riddle got into space.
I love how the trap did not understand the assignment. They're just naming old Atlanta United players. And everyone's wrong on Atlanta United.
Lawrence
I think-
Wyke is a good one.
The
Lawrence
assignment
Wyke.
was
Wow.
players you completely forgot were Atlanta United players. Everyone remembers Andrew Carlton being an Atlanta United player. Everyone remembers Kevin Kratz being an Atlanta United player. Everyone's remembers Sean Johnson being an Atlanta United
Sal
momentary
Zizzo
player.
though, Michelle got
Oh,
the
Super
assignment.
Romario
Sal Zizzo's
Williams.
a good one.
Super Romario.
Lawrence Wyke left on pretty bad terms, right? Like,
Did he?
or maybe it was not bad terms that he left, but he definitely got into like racial abuse type situation, right?
Oh,
Didn't that happen?
Not from
Wow.
Atlanta. Maybe
I hope you've got some
he
receipts
did.
for that.
He
Yeah,
did
that's
go
amazing.
somewhere. He did go somewhere to
Can't
play.
just make those
soccer
kind of
after Atlanta.
accusations, man.
Sure, you can. This is Home Before Dark. We've got a 200 episodes in with these kind of things.
You know what? You know what?
Down in
Hold on.
flames.
You know what?
Ride.
You know what I thought to myself when you guys asked me to come on? I was like, oh gosh, I'm so unprepared. I was like, yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
My man.
hey. In October 2022, Wyke was fined and given a 12-game suspension, 2 times as long as Dante,
games.
whatever
12
his name is.
games.
12 games in the USL Championship and after investigations into allegations of racially discriminatory behavior against Monterey Bay FC. So
What did he say?
Monterey Bay FC.
It's like the OC bitch.
Does anyone remember what he did?
No, I
I
don't.
mean, we don't have to.
Racist
I barely
behavior.
remember the dude.
What do you want him to read the quotes? Like,
I don't know.
With the referee
Who wants
report.
to get canceled?
Don't make
today?
us say it.
I get curious.
Somehow my daughter is not
I
woken
didn't,
up
I didn't
through
know
all
about
this.
that. But does it say who he was playing for in that article?
Yeah, the Rowdies.
The rat.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's just trying to get a part of the culture, you know?
freaking rowdies.
Snyder's a Freddie Adu. I mean, that's a good
We've
call.
been.
right there.
I mean, we've been to Tampa.
That's true.
We went to Tampa for my bachelor party. It's it's part and parcel. I just wanted to call out because we haven't called out everybody that's joined live. Carl Segi, Jay Henneball, Richard Gordon, Nathan Explosion, who is, I will keep saying, an NYCFC supporter. Bradley D. It's Kevin, his burner account. Patrick Delaney, Brittany S. Ellie Bevan, Mill Zombie joining on Twitch, being the lone Twitch viewer that we have. Who else we got? Michelle, who understood the assignment about the players. Clayton Poss. Joe Johnstone. Did I call Joe Johnstone out?
Yeah,
Bucket.
Joe Johnstone is just going through the roster from the past 7 years and just copy pasting names at this point.
Dude, I remember John Gallagher because every time I watch Austin, I'm like, fuck, I miss John Gallagher.
Right.
I wish he was still
Yeah,
on
he's
this
good,
team.
man. Yeah.
They had
I like
to
him as
get
a
rid of
player.
him because he was one of their few like players that they could trade and actually get something of value for at the time. That was after
was the only
2020,
player that
and
was-
he was like the only one who kind of proved anything that he was, above the value that he was getting paid. So
The dark days.
and Elliot, I see Elliot Bevan has mentioned the great
Tambakis.
Alexandros Tambakis. We the media members. There's a double wide or just a regular trailer at the training facility where they hold the media now, and we've named it the Alex Tambakis Memorial Media HQ. He has no idea.
I would be so lucky to have a double wide trailer named after me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Seeing as how that's where my come up was. I was definitely in a single wide, but we elevated over time, baby.
The trailer in middle school, that's definitely.
Oh no, that I lived in.
Fun fact.
This is a glow up right here.
Fun fact. Sam and I were both invited to Alex's wedding. Legitimately invited to his wedding in Greece.
Wow,
really?
And
in
at
Greece?
At the time, I had
rude.
zero money, so there was no way I could afford this, or I could afford it. But I really wish I had. I wish I would have robbed a bank or something to make this happen.
It's what credit card debt's for.
That's max out that credit card.
At the time, I was not
dream
thinking.
right there.
I was not thinking in that context, but I believe he legitimately, because we brought him on the podcast. We joked about him. I don't know, it was getting married or whatever, and then we joked about him inviting us to the wedding. And whatever, 6, 7, 8 months later, I think he was off Atlanta United at that point. He says, "Hey, I wanted to invite you guys to honor my word that I would invite you guys.
Kept his word.
If
Nice.
you know, I would honor my word."
The bride was probably like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
He's like,
I gotta pay $500 a plate for these guys.
He's like, you know, it's happening. You guys are invited, but it is in Greece. And I was like, thank you so much. Can't go, but I love the fact that you went through this trouble.
Mamma Mia 3, baby.
But like, send us a message on I don't know.
He took one look at you guys and was like, "There's no way they're fucking coming." I'm gonna give him an invite.
He knew.
Or he looked at Eric and he's like, I think he's Greek.
I could pass.
I think he passed for Greek. Definitely. Like, yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. I got another one for you, also between the sticks, Mr. Mitch Hildebrand, who I don't know if he even played a game for us.
Did he just play for the Twos?
I think he like tore his knee up, right? He came to us from Cincinnati in the deal for.
That's right.
Was it
Garza?
Yeah, it was Greg Garza. Yeah.
Wow.
I
would not know Mitch Hildebrand if I saw him in a lineup.
No, neither would I.
No. Do you remember Arroyo Gabenga, which I think came from Portland as part of the Nagby deal, but he never played. He immediately got either retired or got sent us something else. It was like a weird pass-through deal, kind of like Clint Irwin, I think.
Clint Irwin?
Mm-hmm.
I love
Are
those
you
passes.
Googling all this shit right now? Where is this coming from?
Google
player for 5 seconds.
Did they draft Clint Irwin in the the franchise expansion draft and then trade him away to? I think they traded him right back to, was it Toronto? I think.
See, Joe's on the Google machine.
See, Elliot
Harrison Heath. Wow,
Elliot
That's a good Harrison Heath.
I believe Harrison Heath is married to one of the hosts of MLS 360.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
Is that not Rio Coca?
Yeah. No. What's her name? Anyway, but he's still there, and his dad's obviously still a coach. But I don't know what happened to Harrison.
Who was it? Who was our first sideline reporter? Brittany.
Brittany Arnold.
It should have been Brittany S. But it was Brittany
Arnold.
It should have been
Brittany.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why I assumed that's who you were thinking of, even though she's already married.
Well, do you remember who was the Alan Green was the initial?
Oh my gosh,
that's right.
That was so bad.
There was some very weird moments between
that
those
was
two.
so bad.
I remember he would sigh like when we lost the ball or something. He'd be like, "Oh, Kevin," it's like Amaranth. Oh, he just lost the ball.
I remember being like, I remember being like, this guy is bad. And people are like, he's done a Champions League final. I was like, he's done a Champions League final? Like, this is horrible.
He had a haircut like the Raiders owner.
That was definitely
terrible.
Darren Eales just like getting his dream guy to come, to the games. Darren has had a lot of kind of dreams. Like, I think the Aberdeen thing was probably always something that he kind of wished he could do as a CEO, and he got done. Credit to him. Yeah. I don't know if it was the highest priority, or it should have been the highest priority for Atlanta United at the time, but
yeah, probably.
You've got to reach down to bring out,
and then also, he was involved with the Atlanta Sports Council, which is still currently trying to like legalize gambling, sports gambling, and
I can't fucking wait.
And I think Darren always had the dream of like having betting kiosks like in the stadium, just like a true British, you know.
Bring that British tradition of gambling on every single moment in a soccer game. Yeah.
Well, is it?
Who's gonna get the next throw in? Oh, $500. You know, like, crazy. They'll bet on anything.
Their shirt sponsor is like 365 Bet, right?
Oh, Newcastle.
Newcastle's.
Newcastle's, I'm pretty sure, is a
probably.
betting
It's always a
company.
new game.
I did see there was an article saying they're actually getting rid of betting in the Premier League. They'll no longer allow betting companies to be the sponsors. Sure,
well, I guess all the oil companies can step in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
somebody will fill the void.
Paddy Power they would sponsor your team, but you just wouldn't have a logo on. Paddy Power would do that, but I mean, then everybody knows you're still sponsored by Paddy Power.
Yeah. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I think I'd rather be sponsored by a gambling organization than fucking state-backed UAE airline, right?
Like, no, I'm good. I'm good with the airline.
I'll go with the
guaranteed money in there.
DraftKings.
Can I ask what you got over there? Which about to pour? I see Eagle Rare, right? Is that Eagle Rare right there?
Yeah, Dan brought that. Since we were 200th, I had to get the Old Fourth Distillery out.
Nice. I've had that. That's pretty good.
Homegrown.
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah. Since my liquor cabinet is over 100 bottles at this point.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
I can't keep them. Like I go through them too fast to just keep them.
So the key,
that's commitment, Eric. Well done.
Yeah,
I keep the bottles. I just think of the bottles.
Yeah. The key is just like for me, it was to get a handful that I really loved and just get a back stock of those. And then I just drank those almost exclusively for a while the rest of it sort of accumulated. And now it's just as far as the eye can see.
Did you ever try the Atlanta United gin made by the same company?
Yeah, that Old Fourth. I've actually got a bottle from the MLS Cup that I only drank for the MLS Cup with that had the 5-stripe like that they did the Atlanta United.
Yep.
Label for it. Yeah. So
I've only ever had the Atlanta United sub from Publix. Very delicious.
Oh. Yeah. Where does it rank against the Falcons sub, though?
Well, the difference here is typically when you order the Atlanta United sub, they'll like either look at you like, "What are you talking about?"
Like, what?
or they'll call you whenever you're there, like close to ETA for the sandwich to be ready, and be like, "We actually don't have the chicken. Do you want me to get something else?"
That's happened to me several times, but I'll keep ordering it.
It's good. It's like
because I'm not plastic.
Yeah, and speaking of betting, whenever you get it on that whole grain bread, what's the over under on the number of bites until you have completely shredded the top of your mouth? I'll set the line at 3.5.
Are you talking about 3.5 days of constipation afterwards? So give me a loaf of Publix bread.
That's why you got to get that extra oil and vinegar on there, man.
Yeah.
Soften it up. Soften it up for your soft taste. Fucking pussy.
Just dunk it in some water. It'll slide down your gullet easy.
It's like Joey Chestnut.
It's
dipping that sandwich in water.
I actually Kobayashi my pub subs.
So you cut it.
I'm like a wood chipper, man.
Good grief! It is good though. The jalapeno cream cheese they
it
put
is
on
good.
it is
it was very good.
Solid. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Another one that popped up, Andrew Wheeler Amianu, and I'll one up that with our first round draft pick that never played for us, Anderson Asiedu.
That is a really good.
He had a great
How
quote.
can we forget?
No, hold on. He did play in the preseason. It sort of counted.
Was he the guy at UCLA?
We were hyped for him.
Yeah. UCLA.
Yeah, he had a great. I
remember being excited
at the draft.
He kind of looked like N'Golo.
He had like a full tux on. He was so excited. Yeah.
What was his quote? I'm sure it's still on Twitter somewhere.
How can we forget Home Before Dark adopted son Lagos Kunga? Kunga Squad.
Kunga Squad. Lagos Kunga.
His own cleats.
That's true.
That first homegrown class, like
I swear he liked one of our tweets.
Oh, he said he used to listen to our podcast in the locker room. It's like the greatest compliment.
So that meant Joseph listened to it when Joseph was in his prime.
No, he probably still listens to it.
I don't think Joseph was ever.
As he falls, it's like the intersection is like a Venn diagram of like Joseph's career as it sort of gets into its twilight. He'll come back around to maybe listening to the Atlanta United podcasts again, and his ears may find Home Before Dark again
Mm.
in the twilight.
I don't know about that. I don't know if they ever found his ears. I don't think they. But the first homegrown class, I just felt so disappointed that none of those guys really panned out except for George Bello.
Yeah.
I mean, I had
Was
Andrew
he technically the first homegrown class?
It might have been the year after.
I thought the first one was Colton
And Goslin.
Goslin.
That was it, right?
and
Kunga.
Wheeler Aminu.
No, was Wheeler Aminu in there?
Yeah, remember like one of the games they said we've signed these 3 guys, and I remember it was Carlton and Awo, and then there was another one.
Patrick
was
Okonkwo.
Oh, Okonkwo. That's
Yeah,
who it
Patrick
was.
Okonkwo, Chris Goslin, Lagos Kunga, Andrew Carlton. Those were the guys I remember, and like none of them panned out for us.
Yeah, and Arthur Blank
And
was
George,
like, get in
George
the limo,
Bello was
kid.
part of that group, and he
Okay, I thought so.
he was the only one. Yeah.
And Arthur Blank was like, there's no way you're gonna fail, kid. Get in the limo.
Oops. Yeah. That video got deleted.
Now, in a specific class, you really only need one to like make it big, right?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
that. Do we consider Bello making it big in terms of the transfer fee and all?
He
that
got-
Hey, he's
I would
in
say-
Europe.
Germany.
I think anytime you're able to sell a player on for money, then
Yeah.
that's
Win.
a success.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
Oh,
not,
no. What
and
do you
not
think?
sell them on within the MLS for money either. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
early in
So-
his career too.
I think if you hit on like 1 out of 4 or 5, maybe, like you're doing pretty good. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, they're free players to sign, quote unquote, free players to sign to homegrown deals. So,
Yeah.
What's crazy
I would
to
say
me
Atlanta
is
United's probably doing better than most.
Hey man, Carlton's playing for the Las Vegas Lights. It's not like he's
is he back?
Well,
Okay.
in USL circles. It's not like he's
Yeah.
his brother has real prospects as a
Where's
central
Chris
midfielder.
Goslin?
He featured in that game, in that friendly against who was it? Was it Tijuana that they played in preseason?
Last year.
No,
This year. Who was
Pachuca,
the one where
Pachuca?
yeah, it was was it
Pachuca.
Pachuca?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Again, in the
Pachuca.
Amsterdam.
In the AmFam Cup. Yeah,
AmFam Cup.
Carlton's
Yeah,
brother featured
Pachuca.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Goslin isn't even playing. Isn't he one of the kids? Is that right?
Goslin, I
No.
think he just had too many injuries. I think he's probably out of the game because of injuries.
FK Seneca? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Can I was looking for this Anderson Atsiedu quote when he got drafted, and I didn't find it, but I did find a different quote. And Mike Conti tweeted this in January 2019, and here's the quote: "When DeBoer interviewed me, he told me that quote I know how to fish end quote. I want to be a good fisherman, so I'm going to Atlanta to have him teach me how to fish."
Oh, DeBoer.
That is so DeBoer. Do you guys remember there was a video that the team put out, and it was like his first training session, and he like had the team in like the video room, and he was giving them some like inspirational talk, and he was like, last year we were the hunter, now this year we're the hunted. And it's like Julian, and he like asked like Julian Gressel a question, and Gressel like didn't get the answer. He was like supposed to like obviously know the answer. I wish I could tell the story better, but it was like one of those things where he was supposed to like Gressel was supposed to know the answer, and it was supposed to be this big like inspirational moment for the team, and Gressel like did not know what the hell he was talking.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
if
You talk
I-
about. Go ahead.
If I can update you guys on the Chris Goslin situation, he's playing for the Slovakian first
Wow.
division.
Wow.
Oh wow.
He made it
So-
to Europe.
He did indeed make it to Europe. Let me just confirm it's the first division because it could be the second division. But talk amongst yourselves.
No, you.
Well, I was just
talking
going to
about-
say it's crazy that years ago I was doing a story about like they had a little dinner for all the new homegrowns. They were like announcing the first classes of these guys, and I was there covering the event. And to think like Caleb Wiley was like 12,
Jeez.
in that crowd,
Yeah.
it's bonkers to think
Well,
these guys.
let me say
are
this.
full-grown men now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those early homegrowns were kind of hard done by just because the club hadn't built up the infrastructure to help make them successful like they have now. So like, I don't want to go into details, but I do know some details about some of the things that, and like some of the ways that guys like Chris Goslin and Andrew Carlton, that's more people kind of know more about his story, but there's reasons why like they didn't have kind of certain structures set up for these players to succeed. And now when you go over there, our old media center is now basically been fully repurposed into basically a school, like a miniature school where all the homegrowns and academy kids are in there, doing homework. And honestly, I'll see them in the media trailer sometimes. They'll be like taking a test or doing something. So they've just got like a lot more support for these kids who are coming up. And so I feel like it's easy to be hard on some of those early homegrowns that kind of flamed out. But I think that hopefully that won't happen as much going forward.
Yeah, I think you're just highlighting the multitude of things that need to fall into place at the right time in order for you to be have a successful career.
No doubt. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredibly hard. Like my son talks about being a professional soccer player, like it's guaranteed. And I'm like, mate, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, there's a large amount of luck involved too, just in like
injuries
things happening. Yeah. Things falling right for you that you like to think you can control them when you're a kid. Like, you just work hard but like, honestly, some things just don't work out because of an injury, or even again, like in some of these prospects, I think that were coming up for Atlanta United, it was just, they were a few years too early almost, and you wonder if they had come through a few years later, maybe they would have been set up in a different situation where a better situation to succeed.
Yeah. You just don't know what their options were.
You think about the Carlton situation, how badly we want to see him play, and how everyone was calling for him to get more minutes on the first team. And I realized that I think most of the majority of the reason that the fan base doesn't really like him anymore is for different reasons. But given that maybe that pressure to get him to play, maybe that kind of push to get him to play, maybe that in a sense derailed his career to the extent where it is 100%. What it is now. Whereas if you kind of exactly. Yeah. So if you had just kind of waited maybe a couple more years, or I don't know, if there's no twos, I don't know what you do with Carlton in that situation. I think you got to play him at some point, especially with how promising he is. It's the only kind of opportunity he has to really get minutes, to get real playing time. And it's not like he never looked bad with the first team ever. It's just,
I think it's just personalities. I mean, you see the flip side with Bello, right? Like he's, similar trajectory and shouldered it completely differently. And whether it was the support that he had within the organization to do what he needed to do off the field, or whether it was just him as an individual, it's not like they were 10 years difference in between the Carlton and Bello sort of sagas, but the trajectory is completely different, right?
Yeah. I think, I'll give some insight into Bello. Bello has a great set of parents, and I've talked to them, and they're just wonderful people and extremely hardworking. And they would drive him so far to get the practice. And I think that there was just something, again, you talk about luck, you talk about, the fortune of having, two parents that, can do those kinds of things for you. And I think that really helped him. And I think about that in comparison to, I hate comparing people's parents or personal situations or whatever, but let's just say, George Bello just had an upbringing that was kind of built for him to be the way he is and kind of have the success that he had.
Yeah.
Is this do you guys feel, do you get the sense that this is the official start of the next era of Atlanta United?
Ooh, that's a good question.
We obviously had, the Almiron and Joseph Martinez era, and that's obviously done. You had the 2 years of drop off where you had, Pity and you can throw Barco into that conversation, which didn't work out the way I think everyone wanted to work it out, especially when it comes to, on the field production. Now you've got this new era where, you've got a newish front office. A newish front office, and you've got new players that are kind of that are set to be the face of the franchise. Do we feel like this is the starting point? This season is the starting point where we're now going to see Atlanta 2.0 or whatever. What do you want to call it? I don't know if 2.0 is the right name, but
let's go around the horn. That's a great one. I think everybody. Payson, let's start with you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge Garth fan, obviously, and everyone is, but I just think that the stability he's already brought to the squad, the moves he's already made, just give me a lot more confidence in our situation. And, I'm interested to see what will happen when or if Almada leaves this summer. So, the jury's still a little out on whether this is kind of really turning the corner this season. But, I'm extremely positive this season. But I'm not sure if that's because I had a, terrible hangover the past 2 years. And now I'm finally got a nap in and now I'm feeling better with this new squad. But, I'm very optimistic that we turn the corner, especially, like I said, Garth I just have a lot of confidence in what he's going to be doing with his team.
Joe, what do you think?
I think it's version 3.0, actually. I think 2.0 was the dark days.
The down years.
That's a good point. That's a good point, too, yeah.
Yeah.
It was Windows 7.
So you're thinking about it in like it's software versions as opposed to like an upgrade.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think like the MLS Cup winning team would have been version 1.2. Right?
Okay.
It's like
okay,
you got 1.1. It's like goes by year, and then at some point, I guess like 2020.
That was like
probably
Snow Leopard or something
2.
like that. Right?
Yeah, they had Bill New OS. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
I think
virus
that
susceptible.
Yeah, the Heinze tenure was definitely Windows Vista, right? We can all agree.
Very buggy.
Buggy. It was. Some people liked it because they knew how to navigate it. They understood what was going on in there, but for the most part, it really didn't jive with, common consensus on how things should be run, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Incompatible with some of the previous components that were involved.
Yeah.
So and then
we're in between. I mean, you're going from analog to touch screen.
Gosh, nerd alert, man! Nerd alert. Jeez.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
No,
Joe.
but I do think that this is clearly kind of a new chapter and a new era of Atlanta United, and I think we're only seeing we've seen the tip of the iceberg. Basically, we've basically seen them work in one transfer window. I say I just mean like Garth Lagerwey kind of working in concert with Carlos, but there's going to be a lot more, like Garth has talked about, and they're going to bring in, people into the front office, data people. One of our listeners from 5-Star Final got hired to the club, and then they're going to work with consultants. And so all of that is going to, whatever is the result of those processes being put in place is going to establish this kind of new era. So we're just seeing the beginning of it. They're really just trying to deconstruct what was done before they really start building.
That's right.
Kind of
unravel the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, it's like the first, I don't know, like 10 minutes of a Property Brothers episode where they bring in the one that wears jeans and then he just destroys
that
the
looks
house.
nothing like
with a
him.
sledgehammer to the tub.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, and I think it's less about the players, honestly, and I think it is, as you guys touched on, more so the influence of Garth Lagerwey. And I think that a lot of people do shit on Carlos Bocanegra, and he deserves some criticism for a lot of the moves that he's made over the past couple of years. But I think I don't know, sometimes workers need a good leader. Not to say that Darren Eales wasn't a good leader, but having somebody that helps influence better decisions. And I think having him oversee that, I think it's either Boca's really just hitting on everything by himself, or it really is, as Joe said, working in concert together. And I mean, you have some guys on the team, like we talked about, Wiley's going to be gone I would think in the next year. I think we're going to lose Almada. Obviously, we're going to lose Miles Robinson. So like as in terms of like having a face to the squad, so to speak, I don't know what that looks like next year or 2 years down the road, but I do think that between Pineda and Lagerwey and I guess Boca, there is like, I just think there's a fingerprint on this team now moving forward. And I think it has an identity that, I think we've ushered in a new era. Yeah. And weathered the storm.
Yeah, I think it still has to be, you still have to have the other side of that on the player standpoint, though. Like what made that version 1.2, to Joe's point, so special was the player aspect of that. And while many of them went on to leave, there was something about that veteran leadership in that roster, whether they stayed or left over time. Like the roster is going to change over the course of every so many years, but you still need those key pieces within the roster that you're not just trying to swap out DPs every other year. You know, you need the people that are going to be the Michael Parkhurst and Jeff Lorenowitz and the Brad Guzan. Like, you need those within the lineup. Whether they're your DPs or not, like Joseph was, is to be debated. But also, to your point, I think that front office side of things to usher in a new era, if whatever it may be for Atlanta United, to me, it's regardless of Garth and Carlos, it's the manager. Like it's having Pineda at the helm at the coach level, that like having him there year over year and seeing it come to bear fruit without them just seeing a run of a couple of results that didn't go his way last year because of injuries or whatever, and riding him out on a rail. Like, that's what I think is going to usher in a new sort of season or new version of Atlanta United that's going to breed success over time, because you need to have some level of stability within the organization at the player and organizational level.
And I think to that point, I think we do have a couple of those guys that I don't see necessarily moving. I don't know, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like you have a guy in Giacomakis who's 26, maybe 27, 26, 27.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a guy you can hang on to for a while. That could be kind of a face of the organization, kind of a in his prime MLS level, striker, like star striker.
Yeah.
Franco Ibarra is another guy that I could see hanging around for a while. And then to your point, he's not Michael Parkhurst, but Juan Parada is another guy that you see that could be a veteran that could stick around for a while, could be what LGP would have been if we would have hung on to him instead of letting him go. And Andrew Gutman, I think, is a guy that we'll see in this lineup.
We haven't talked about Gutman. Yeah.
Well, we haven't talked about any of the actual play this season yet. So.
We've been talking about the past a lot. But.
Dan, what do you think about the new version of Atlanta United? And then we'll go you and Eric, and then we will absolutely talk about the most recent match and where the team sits now.
So I think that Darren was the perfect guy to start this franchise. I feel like he probably stayed here. In hindsight, he probably stayed here a little bit too long. I think that the overturning of the managers really hurt Boca's development. And I think that Darren was more of just a hands-off kind of guy and let Boca run and have ownership of that. And I think without a man, because De Boer, Heinze, and having, there were two. They both had very different identities, and they had a different identity to Martino. So you're trying to fit these different squads within these different systems, which you're never going to be able to successfully do in a cap league. And then Lagerwey seems to be coming in, like, I've never spoken to any of these people, so I'm kind of speculating here, but it seems like Lagerwey seemed to be a better mentor to Boca for 100%. Roster building. So 100%. I feel like there's still obviously some pieces. Maybe there's a highly paid winger on this team who maybe not fitting quite right just yet.
Derek Etienne's only played like 6 games. Lay off.
But I think to me, this feels like the most cohesive and most. This feels like the most like the 2017-18 team, because the pieces are fitting together and working together.
Well, you see it in the performance on the field. I mean, there's something to be said about the chemistry on the field.
Absolutely.
That's something that we haven't seen, despite the talent on the field year over year, whether it's with the Barcos or the Pity Martinez. Like you've got players that are talented within their own right and within their own levels and leagues that are being brought into this team, but for whatever reason, they're not coming together within the organization the way that they did during that 2016, 2017, 2018 like sort of run. But yeah, it's certainly a new era, I think, from all of those facets. Eric, you asked the question.
Joe, you go first.
I was going to just add on to what Dan was saying there, and I think you're totally right. And I think that, especially in the context of MLS specifically, that's why Garth is such a advantage for Carlos to have, because Garth knows the in and outs of MLS way more than Darren did. I mean, Darren kind of approached Atlanta United very much through like a European lens, you know, of like trying to like get the wonder kid, have him ball out, sell him for a lot of money. But I think Garth has, you know, and that's certainly one way to do it. We've seen it work out, but it is a riskier approach. And I think Garth's perspective is much less risky to get a player who's older, so that you have a lot more data on, that you can then bring in, and you have, you know, he's just more of a sure thing. And there are a lot of advantages to do that. And you don't really have to worry about selling him on, especially when you're at Atlanta United and you've got Arthur Blank kind of fronting this whole, you know, enterprise. You don't need to be running it like sustainably like that, like you would be on, you know, taking over Accrington Stanley on Football Manager. You know, like I feel like that's kind of the way that Darren Eales kind of, that's like his upbringing, that's his background, that's the way he was running things. So yeah, I just to agree with Dan's point, I think that there will be, you know, a lot. I think Carlos will learn a lot more working with Garth. And, you know, it's important to remember that when Darren hired Carlos Bocanegra, Paul McDonough was also part of that picture. And I think that they were always supposed to work as a tandem. And then, you know, things happened with Paul McDonough. So and I think that was also detrimental to Carlos Bocanegra and just destabilize that front office the way they had it arranged.
I was never down on Carlos like everyone else on Twitter was, at least. I always just thought that, like, okay, well, it was almost kind of like this mindset of like, well, what do you expect? He's a first year. This is his first time he's done this job. He's going to learn on the job just like anyone else would learn on the job in the first couple seasons. I understand that there's a lot of experience, but there's not a lot of change within year 1 and year 2. There's not a lot of change between year 2 and year 3 and year 4. There's not a lot of opportunities to learn in the short term. The learning comes in a much broader general sense over the course of a long period of time. So 7 years in, Carlos Bocanegra is not the same. It's not the same as he was when he first came in. So with that in mind, you look at some of the decisions he's making now, the people he's working with now. It seems like, not that things are improving. They are obviously improving because we see the play on the field, how much better it looks. But you look over the course of time, how many things he's gotten right. And I was down. I mean, I wasn't down. I was down on him in very, very specific moments because I was mad at the Pity Martinez signing. I was mad at how Barco never really panned out the way he was supposed to be.
Nagby.
Julian Gressel.
Yeah, okay. Consider that. No. The Gressel thing I don't put on him. But the Nagby thing, sure. But consider that a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if he does it again. We know that, maybe not the best thing for him to do.
Yeah.
We understand that. But let's look at that as, okay, because he can't say that in the media, but for all we know, he knows he messed up there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he knows
absolutely.
that that's not what you need to do next time, or that's not how you go into that next time. Julian Gressel is a different story just because he was always going to be asking for so much money, and you knew he ultimately wasn't worth that much money. But that's my the at least when it comes to specifically Carlos Bocanegra, that's kind of like the way I look at it now. It's like, okay, well, now you've had your growing pains. Now you're 7 years in, you're seasoned, at least more seasoned than you were coming in. What does it look like here moving forward? And with the signings that they've made with and I'm not just talking about the big signings, but the supplementary pieces that Atlanta United has brought in, for the most part, those are all have been good. It's not like you filled this team with a bunch of Kevin Kratzes or Mark Blooms. You filled this team. You surrounded the team, the players that you wanted to make stars. You surrounded them with players that could do something, that could be supplementary pieces, that could help you win games, the way that they do. And so as long as that continues, which I've never doubted that the club's eye for those supplementary pieces has been pretty good. It's the ultimate, and I mean, this is for every club, but for the ultimate hurdle is, can you get the star players that really take your team to the next level? As long as everything kind of just stay steady, you can expect Carlos Bocanegra to kind of take his career onto the next level at some point.
Yeah,
I think.
and I think one of the reasons why, Darren was not really servicing Carlos in the best way at the end was I think that Darren was just pushing and pushing and pushing to try to keep this thing going, and to keep the train on the track, so to speak. And it's been really nice, I think, refreshing for fans to see Garth come in and like see the forest for the trees, be like, hey guys, hold on, we need to take a step back here. We cannot keep trying to push with, Marcelino Moreno. Like we need to pare back. We need to eat a crap sandwich here for a year, which isn't even going to be that crappy because you still have some really talented players, and we're seeing the fruits of those players this year. And look at an eye for the future. And I think that kind of realistic perspective is something that a lot of fans have been craving for, and I think that that's one of the reasons why there's this kind of new found. I don't know. There's just like a refreshment to the team.
This is a completely, 1.5 bourbons in sort of thought, but I just had the thought of like, can you imagine people sitting around digesting and dissecting our managerial structures in our companies and being like, well, Tim really didn't get the mentorship that he needed, and Scott just really didn't give him the time that he needed to develop, but now under new management, like I think he could really thrive.
It's so funny.
And now he's got project managers that have, he's gone through the growing pains of a couple of like, it's just so fucking bizarre to me to think that logic.
It is weird.
That's what's great about sports is because you actually see some form of the result of the product ultimately goes to the field. It's like ultimately
right, is win or lose versus
right, and ultimately like successes or failures that are happening inside the building filter out to the field eventually. And for 3 years it became all too evident for fans to kind of see that there was major failings there. But Kevin, to your point, I feel really
I'm just thinking about everybody having these exact because these are the conversations that people have with their coworkers about their own manager structures, but we're having this on a much larger scale with by and large complete strangers about how they're running their organization and what their final product is on the field. It's just
and then I'll see Carlos and in the press box or something and be like, hope you didn't hear me talking about your job performance, just like some person from the outside who has no idea what they're talking about.
It's the equivalent, Dan, of somebody being like, can you believe Dan picked that fucking metal panel finish for the skin of that building? But you can't really blame him. It's because of the leadership of above him. But he drew the fucking details that way and it showed up like this on site. It's just the parallels are just amazing to me to think about.
That's right. Hey, as long as you pay me for the responsibility that I'm taking on.
That's true. That's true.
So, Joe, I got a question for you, and obviously don't get into any specifics at all, but have you ever had off the record conversations with Boca? It's a yes or no question.
No, yeah, I would say if I had, but I actually have not with him. He's very kind of protected or, guarded. You can kind of get that sense that he's a kind of a closed off guy as it is. So the most any off the record discussion would have been at the media game last year where he's telling me to pass him the ball every single. I was playing goalkeeper and he was like, pass it to me every time.
Was he it's fucking hell, Joe?
So there was one where I can see the opposing striker is waiting for me to pass it to Carlos, and he's just gonna pounce as soon as I pass it. So I kick it long, and Carlos the next time goes, I said pass it to me every time.
This is on the record. You suck, Joe.
Yeah. You talking about that again? We will talk about the games, I promise, and talk about the state of the team right now and the performance.
Let's talk about the games.
But no, we got to go back to the past for just one quick second because you mentioning that game reminds me of one of the other great moments over the past 200 episodes, which several of you, I know at least Eric was a part of. Joe, I think that you were out there as well, which was the MLS All-Star Week, where we had
Payson
the
was there
soccer.
too.
Yeah, we did the. Oh, yeah, Payson was there. Yeah, we had the live stream set up at Soccer in the Streets, and we were all playing with everybody that was in town for MLS All-Star.
Oh yeah, that was a lot
Week,
of fun.
which was
Yeah.
so much
Even I
fucking
was
fun,
there.
man. God, that was a blast.
That was great.
Yeah.
was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a really good time.
Yeah.
It was one of the last
Isn't that
times
where
I watched
Kevin
it.
Egan got Meg twice?
Yes, he did. Yes, he
I just
did.
remember
Poor
Matt
Kevin.
Doyle. I saw him like sitting by himself, just like on his computer, like not talking to anybody. He's the only person I just like didn't talk to the entire time.
Not surprising. Not surprising at all. Yeah, like Andrew Wiebe came and took a mic for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We were podcasting from
Yeah.
their
Oh,
sound
yeah.
system.
Yeah.
That's right.
That-
Wow.
It was great to see all the jockeying within that little booth that we had set up over the course of those couple of hours there.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of the one at the training ground
Oh, I wasn't there for that.
where we had Longshore
Yep,
and
yep.
Atlanta
Yep.
Fan TV.
Yeah, that was for the Soccer in the Streets. Like
that was 2017,
The
right?
Champions League. Yeah.
Can I
the
tell you,
Champions League.
Mouse's house was so late to all this stuff because we tried to get, well, we were early, but also late. We tried so hard to get into all the restaurants that, I'll explain. We tried
I got
so hard.
whiplash, sorry.
So hard to get into all the restaurants that are doing like live shows now with soccer down here. And I don't know who else. They like say yes to everything now because it's super easy. Back then, we couldn't get anyone to say yes. We
Yeah.
couldn't pay someone to sit at the restaurant and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, let me talk soccer for an hour."
Man,
Dude, I
what's
remember
that?
doing
What is
it.
this, like some porn thing?
Dude, we did so
Not
many,
only
man.
fans.
That's something we haven't done. I mean, we do this live podcast every week, but I mean, doing destination shows where we would go out to the Gulch whenever there was tailgates going on, and have people hop on, or go out to different pubs and stuff like that. Man, it's been a fun path.
You remember that time I forgot my computer?
Yeah, that was real cool. That was real cool.
We got out to the tailgate early to go
Yep.
record, and I was like, "Oh shit, I kind of need that."
That would have been episode 98.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So let's get to the state of the team currently. So obviously coming off of a Toronto draw, sitting third in the East right now. Several, I'll say, concerning injuries, especially not knowing. Joe, you may have more. If anybody, I think you'll have more information than the rest as far as Gigi's current state, but also Almada and the state of the team, with some key players out right now, but still with a run of form that's produced some results to put them in really good position in the East, even if they do have to weather the storm for a little bit, which they managed to do against Toronto, with several of those players out to start that game. And then even with Giakoumakis going out late and still managing to claw back a goal that had them in the lead up until the final moments. But yeah, what's everybody's sort of thoughts on where the team is now, looking ahead? Whether or not you want to talk about specific stuff on Toronto, we'll just kind of go around. I know we're a little over the hour mark, which we expected to be with the party of, what is this, 6 here? So
Party
2 hours, baby. We're going 2 hours strong.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so what are you guys thinking right now? Maybe let's start with you, Joe, since you may have some information that we don't. I don't know if you do, but
No, I mean, I don't have anything like top secret to share about
Yeah.
the injuries. It doesn't seem like Yorgos's injury is like bad, but you would think with a hamstring,
yeah,
they're probably going to want to watch it for a little bit. They have a week, but then they start getting some midweek games coming up soon. So it's tough. You hope that it's not bad, because he could be missing a fair few games if it is anything more than just him kind of being, a precautionary move. With Almada, it doesn't seem like it's major at all. In fact, the fact that he traveled to the game and then didn't play signals to me that it's really minor, and that it was really probably almost like a last minute decision not to play him. Frankly, it was unexpected for my part. I fully thought he was going to play. So I think he'll be all right. I would certainly expect him to play against Chicago. And who else? Well, obviously there's the Guzan injury.
Yeah, Guzan, I think we know what
know
that
that
is,
one.
and that's
Yeah.
going to be about 8 weeks, I'm guessing, remaining at a minimum.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I feel like the obvious comment on that is I thought Westberg was pretty good.
Yeah. I didn't.
yeah, I mean,
He
the
was
goals
better than
the goals that
Rios-Nova.
go in are,
Not hard.
pretty great goals. I mean,
Yeah, they are good
all
goals.
things considered.
And there's reason to expect that he'll improve over the
Yeah,
coming weeks when you
yeah.
get some more rhythm and you start getting the feel for being in goal again. For goalies, that really is a thing. Like, you really got to kind of get yourself attuned to the speed of the game and all that, and just the things that happen in a game that don't necessarily happen in a
you're also
training
just
situation.
you're the puppeteer really back there on the back line, right? Like he's going to get a feel for knowing what the pace and positioning is of that back line to be able to shift and cover based on his comfort zone on inside of the 18 to sort of man the ship back there from the back line in the way that Guzan was able to. So
no doubt.
That's only going to happen as he's getting more reps at training and more play time during actual matches. So,
and I think what we saw from him is that he's probably going to be a better kind of passer, like keeping possession, kind of tighter passer, close passing than a player like Guzan was, who's had pretty bad distribution, to be quite honest, for the majority of his time here.
Never been his forte.
Yeah. So, but,
just
to wrap up, like these last couple games for Atlanta United, I know there's probably quite a bit of disappointment just because they've had leads in these games on the road and they didn't obviously get them. And the one on Saturday was brutal with basically losing at the last kick of the ball. But I'm still generally, I thought, the performances were good, especially in the NYCFC game. You totally outplayed them on that field where you've not had much success.
Can we all agree that they played better a man down just to have some more space with the ball?
Yeah, that's right.
100%. Yeah,
would love to play 10 on 10. But
yeah, exactly.
When they went a man down, Almada kind of was just playing as like a striker, basically.
Absolutely.
And he was just toasting people when he got the ball. Like that was really fun to see. And then you don't have him, Almada, against Toronto. And, it was kind of a stalemate-y type of game. When you look at the stats, a draw is probably the correct result. A championship team probably wins that game, doesn't give up that late goal, and they do need to work on that. But overall, I'm encouraged by the fact that they went there without their best player and were still able to.
Eric, are you playing harp with your mic right now? What are you doing over there?
What? Sorry.
You snapping away on that thing like you're trying to bring the Angels home or something.
My bad.
Like,
my
what
bad.
Are you doing?
I don't know. It might be the chords. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
I think, Tim, you said this. I mean, Toronto, they're a decent team.
Yes,
like I know where they are
They have a lot of
standing-wise,
talent.
but there's a lot of talent. Mark Anthony Kay, Tim's worst nightmare is Richie Larea because he's Canadian. And Bernadeschi. I mean, let's talk about a Bernadeschi Araujo comparison. I mean,
There is no comparison.
there is no
Yeah, no
comparison
kidding.
because it's like I would like the Toronto player, please.
I would take Richie Larea over Araujo too.
Ooh.
I mean, Richie Larea, that goal that he scored was
It was
Dude.
so annoyingly good. I
Under
mean,
pressure too.
It was beautiful.
It really
was. And I hate it. I hate it so much how nice that goal was. Like,
he's Canadian.
the composure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The composure
to
score
not
that
go
goal,
down under pressure right there at the top of the box. Like,
and
it's
just like the connection he made. It was
absolutely.
there is a lot of talent on this team.
Yeah.
Like have we won at BMO before?
Yes.
We have just one time.
Yeah, 2021, Marcelino Moreno scored the second goal at the death, and it's probably the
That's right,
best
the header.
Mike Conti.
Right?
No, it was a worm burner from the
Oh.
18. The best Mike Conti goal score ever, I think.
And if I could say just on the one downside for me, these last couple games, again, it's Luis Araujo, and you were talking about Bernadeschi. You would hope that in a game where you don't have Thiago Almada, it would be like, oh, thankfully we have Luis Araujo here.
I said that
who can
during
make up
fucking
for
Right, there's
international
never
break,
steps
man.
up, yeah.
I said that exact comment during international break where you've got a complete absence of all your talent on the field. Two other DPs out entirely. You expect him to sort of shoulder that responsibility, and he's just nowhere to be found, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
he
the
did.
downside
He
for me.
did nice, like one bit of play in the middle and did a beautiful, I think, switch to Wiley in like the first 5 minutes.
Let's not
but that
forget.
was about it. And
He
got the assist.
He assisted with a very nice cross
He did.
to Machop Chol.
But then that's it.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't pay that much. You don't pay $5 million a year for that, right?
Right.
He can't, like, I feel like if Bernadeschi, if that's Bernadeschi instead of Luis Araujo, he's probably like, all right, I'm gonna put my
Right.
stamp on this game. I'm gonna move inside. I'm gonna play in some of these tight spaces. Like, he could be more versatile. Where Luis Araujo, to me, pretty much just seems like kind of a standard winger who's going to run some players, score some really nice goals at times. But ultimately, he's going to be more of a guy who feeds off of other players creating for him than being that guy himself.
I was just gonna say,
As a DP, you need him to be that.
I was just gonna say he's gonna be a player that's dependent on the players around him to succeed himself.
Yeah. I mean, you even see that with Giakoumakis. I mean, he's consistently getting in the face of defenders and going that extra mile, and sometimes to his own detriment, right? But at the same time, like that's what you want out of that guy that's sort of baiting that back line, being the aggressor and stuff like that. Like for Arujo to only be available whenever somebody else is, like, and they aren't available, like during the international break or when Almada's out or Giakoumakis is out for injuries, like that creates a lot of question marks within how this offensive scheme is going to move forward without some of these pieces. Luckily, it sounds like Almada may be back this week against Chicago, but in any case, Payson, what are you thinking right now with the season, with the performance against Toronto and where the team's headed?
Yeah, I mean, these last two games, I think in the previous seasons we would have killed for 2 points at BMO and Yankee Stadium. So,
yeah,
I'm not that disappointed. It's disappointing to give up the goals that late, but honestly, with a man down and Sosa pulled a move I've seen many times in old man rec league where you're just tired as hell and don't want to get back and mark your guy, or you're just a second late because your legs are like, nope. So, I mean, that just happens late in a game with a guy who probably shouldn't have been out there for 90 minutes. But, I mean, and it's good for me that the one real shit burger we've laid has been was the Columbus game. I mean, for the rest of the matches, I think we've looked solid. We haven't, been pretty even keeled, pretty consistent and scoring consistently. So I think these last two games, while we're disappointed that you gave up the second goals, I'll take 2 points on the road any day. I wish we'd won that NYCFC game because I think we really outclassed them, but I'm not that upset by it.
Yeah, the NYCFC one was, I mean, you had two different things happen, right? Like we collapsed at the end of Toronto. NYCFC was just like a lapse in attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like a complete, just.
Well, it's also, I mean, how many times? That's such a common turn of phrases. Like, well, I don't think it's a turn of phrases.
It's the most dangerous time.
Yeah, it's the most dangerous time is the 30 seconds or 2 minutes after a goal is scored, and,
especially if you're Atlanta United.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well,
it did bring up some bad memories of seasons past. Yeah. But at least in those cases, we were, giving up a goal and losing the game. So in this case, we're tying them now. So.
It's progression. Yeah, it's progression. Standout performers. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, no, I was just going to say 6 draws for Toronto FC. So
yeah.
Wow, 6 draws.
Yeah.
1, 6, and 1.
What? That's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
How the hell do other teams are able to beat them consistently? I feel like every time we play them, it's generally a loss or a draw. Yeah. Toronto is just one of those teams that have us.
I think that, Payson, to your point, it's like, I think if I'm to be frustrated in the Toronto performance, it's that you had the lead twice throughout the course of that match. For everything else that went against Atlanta without Almada, which I can say many things about, how the team overcame his absence, but also there was a lot of those sort of passes that Almada picks his head up and makes that, as a spectator, you can see those players making those runs or making those lines that Almada is just sort of instinctual in making those connections that other players just weren't able to do so, whether it's Josetu or Sosa or whoever. But the fact that despite the Giakoumakis injury, that you had the lead twice in that game and you end up with a draw, I agree. I'll take the point out of that, but the fact that you have the lead not once but twice and still end up with the draw with all of that, and it's at the death, that's sort of the frustrating part for me. But overall, I guess I'll jump ahead in the queue here. I think the team is really promising on its trajectory this season, and the Toronto match, I think, especially, again, back to your point, Payson, is like you look at the Columbus game contrasted by the performance in the Toronto game, where you have essentially the same players out, right? Like you've got trade Gutman for Miles Robinson, you've got Almada out, Giakoumakis out at the end, Guzan's out. Like it's basically your international break game for that second half by and large, and they're still able to create goals and create opportunities, and that you hope that all of those players aren't out for an extended period of time, that you get them back in a couple of weeks. I don't know what Gutman's sort of trajectory is, but Almada back this week, you get a couple of these guys back in a couple more weeks. You think you can kind of right the ship, but even if you can't for an extended period of time, I've got some confidence that the team is maybe getting a little bit more of that engine underneath them without those players having to be there consistently, which was the big concern for me coming off of that Columbus result.
Yeah, I mean, we've only beaten them once in BMO Field. The rest have been draws or losses. I just think it's a hard place to play. Toronto are always up for playing us. Even though it's different squad. I mean, you could tell when Toronto scored, that stadium just exploded.
Mhm.
It was so
That was crazy.
annoying.
Dude, the camera was shaking. Like, you're watching the broadcast, the camera was shaking.
Yeah,
It was
that's how you know.
ridiculous. Yeah.
And when they blow the whistle, like right after kickoff, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That was real close.
You celebrate that draw.
Yeah.
But I will say the other point of optimism real quick is was nice to see, Gorgeous George score a header off a corner kick, which has been extremely
Beautiful header.
rare.
Dude,
And
beautiful
scoring with
header,
our
yeah.
head has been something missing since Joseph's ACL
Joseph,
tear,
yes,
honestly.
absolutely.
So to have that other goal scoring talent in there and skill is nice to have.
Yep. And he almost got, the second attempt he had with his head, and he was like closer to the 18-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he put that, I mean, there was a lot of power on that header. And, unfortunately, it went to Sean Johnson. But
I'm just glad that set pieces look dangerous again.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
for once.
exactly.
Is it for once or again?
For one, yeah, man.
It's for once. The days of the short corner are long gone.
Yeah.
Because while we can obviously compare the Joseph Martinez and oh my gosh, I always in the moment forget how to say his name. Someone say it for me.
It's Bijava.
No.
this podcast is a love-hate for Eric.
Our Greek freak.
Yakimakis.
Yako.
So
Yako,
the difference in both of their aerial abilities. I'm not saying that Joseph couldn't hit the ball. Obviously, he had plenty of goals where he had the ball, but Yakimakis can do it very much in traffic.
Yeah.
At least he has that ability. Whereas Joseph, I don't know that he could do it as consistently in traffic. If he's in traffic, he would need to be like it would be like Gressel, like on the run. There might have been people around him, but there was still no one within arm's length of Joseph Martinez. Whereas Yakimakis
he was a beat you to the back post kind of header.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yakimakis can from a standing position jump up and challenge
and
the
beat
ball
everybody to the ball, right? Yeah.
That I think is a major difference in the aerial threat that say the 2%. Obviously, they're different players, but the aerial
He's the
threat,
Kenwin Jones that never was, basically.
Which is going to be nice to have, especially on set pieces, because we haven't really had that. I mean, there hasn't been really a player on Atlanta United in the last 7 years that has been able to attack balls in the air like that. I mean, obviously, Joseph has everyone
players like him and Parada doing it consistently last season, right?
Yeah, everyone's going to look at Joseph, look at me and be like, "What are you talking about?" Joseph had plenty of headers, but the headers they present differently, or they were attacked differently. They were the opportunities were different than the ones
they were coming on a breakaway from the wing. They were almost transitional.
Right, it was more transition than say and it might have not been transition. It might have been that no, it was transition in the sense that the attacking players found themselves in a position where they were like a man up, or they were man on man.
The defense was unorganized.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't where everyone is back on a corner kick and boom, there we go. Mm-hmm. That rarely happened. It seems like now, if there's one thing that I'm appreciative of,
go home, Eric.
Yeah, I know. This season is that there's that. I love the fact that this team looks like it looks so much more fluid, so much more attacking, so much more attack minded than it has in the last couple of years. And they look more dangerous. They look more. They brought back a little bit of that fun to watch them mentality, which I hate that mindset because it kind of there's going to be games where they don't have that, but to know that they could have. I think we all can agree that if Almada's in that game, we win against Toronto, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way that they were attacking, it's just one extra player that they have with Almada's ability, and I mean there's
so many opportunities for a link up play at that top end that goes unchecked or unnoticed from the midfield. That Almada's in there, you easily increase your shots and potentially shots on goal by 20 to 30% without a doubt.
I looked it up. Atlanta United had 235 touches in the final third against Toronto when they played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In this game without Almada, they had 89.
Yeah.
So I think that, part
Toronto
of that you can
played
probably
a lot
attribute to, you can attribute part of that to the home field advantage and Toronto setting up in a certain way. But I think clearly it shows that you just didn't have that linking player that was able to receive the ball in space, in a tight space and turn, and then just have the vision to find those players ahead of them.
Yeah,
that's where Almada's really shined, just with his general decision-making ability and like his ability to shrug off tackles and then spot a pass and hit it. It's just a special quality that he has, and
not to do it with the cute back heel or something like that. It's just true vision and awareness of where the player is headed in their trajectory in a manner that the back line is not anticipating to be able to play that sort of 4D chess on the field.
And plus, when he's running to players, they're coming to him, and then that frees up someone like Caleb Wiley to come in, and just a brilliant player.
Okay, sorry. Can I just tangent for 1 second? In the chat, no one brought up Tito Villalba.
No one's forgotten him.
So we forgot.
You're the only one. You're the only one.
The only reason I thought that is because you mentioned it. You mentioned it, but no one in the chat.
Well, he's not exactly a B-side deep cut,
Just saying, no one in the chat brought up Tito Villalba.
That's because you're the only one that thinks that he was a forgettable player in the organization.
Just saying, no one brought him up.
I will say, just looking back on when I would watch 17-18 Atlanta United, my favorite parts would be when Almiron gets on the ball and starts running a goal. That would be when my adrenaline would go, be like, fucking let's go.
Here we go.
And Almada's the guy. And of course, it ends in a Joseph Martinez goal, but Almada's that has instilled that same type of excitement within me.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's the one that starts the series of passes. Think about that. I forget who was against, but the series of passes where it goes from forgive me, I'm just a fan now. It's a long pass to the right side, then another long pass to the left side. You guys want to talk about
that? That was the switch over to Wiley, who then crossed it into Arujo, I believe.
There's with this team now as it's constructed. There's a different version of that albidonness where it's more pass centered as opposed to just drive at the opponents. And there's a look. They're both fine, but it's just nice to see a different version of that excitement that you're waiting for, that you wanted to see, that you got in that 2007, 2008, in those 2007, 2008 seasons.
Yeah.
That's been missing. That's where I see it in the passing and the way that they kind of the way that Atlanta United attacks, because it's not drive into the box with one player and find the outlet pass to Joseph and Joseph scores. It's okay. How can we make this happen with all 11 players we have on the field?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll to speak of the trickiness of Almada, he's not a simple player, but he's not doing anything extravagant other than really utilizing his incredible dribbling and first touch, and just his close control in general. Yeah. He will move around the field like you're playing on FIFA, just with the ball sticking right underneath your feet, and he's kind of sprinting around in a circle. Yeah. He's not doing these kinds of trying to nutmeg someone like Luis Araújo or a little drag back and a fancy kind of pass like that. He really just keeps the game simple, and he just really utilizes those skills that he has. And a lot of it is just, again, the vision to me is just out of this world. He had one against NYCFC. That was one of the best passes I've seen hit by an Atlanta United player. And I forget how it ended up. I think it went to Lennon, who had a really nice chance on goal. And I think he screwed it up.
Yeah. He had a couple. He had another one to ETN in that game that was unbelievable too.
Yeah.
Tim, what are your thoughts right now on recent performance and where the team sort of trajectory is looking right now with the injuries and everything else?
Well, I think we're a far cry from where we were against Columbus. So I don't remember who made that point earlier that this is not like whenever we're without players, even like a few games removed, I'm not feeling as worried. Also, I feel like when we field even like an 80% squad, I feel like we're dictating the pace of play. I think we're dictating the style of play that happens on the field. And I think that we're causing the other teams to have to react to us versus vice versa. And I think that's probably the more important thing is I know what to expect from our players whenever we're going out there, especially if Thiago Almada's on the field. It just to like touch on that excitement, I think it's that close control that you talked about, Joe, where I don't know that I've ever seen I don't think I've seen an Atlanta United player so hard for an opposing midfield to turn over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know I don't have to worry about
It's like an attacking Nagby.
I was going to say Nagby. He's press resistant, who can also move the ball forward probably better than anybody.
100%, because you have to worry about, even if he has his back, let's say he's in the midfield and he has his back to Caleb Wiley running diagonally, you still have to worry about that quick turn and lob over the top. Like he can pass it anywhere he wants.
Especially with him and Nagby, or not him and Nagby.
God, could you imagine?
Oh,
like if we had Ibarra, Nagby, and an Almada midfield, like.
No, but him and Wiley, though, I mean, that connection between those two has just been
and I think it was Payson talking about the kind of the power vacuum that gravity well, whatever you want to call it, that Thiago Almada creates. But like just his ability to find anybody on the field at any point and not be dispossessed. Like I don't know if it's the low center of gravity he has, like his ability to keep close control. He's Marcelino Moreno if he had speed and agility. Right, because like Moreno had that dribbling ability and sometimes
good decision making.
And
can make it back. That's long pass.
Yeah. Or like you don't get as upset when he takes too many dribbles because it might work out. Like
if Marcelino Moreno had Almiron's speed, he would
be the best player in MLS. Yeah.
But he doesn't.
But
at the same time, you could say if Barco could just stay on his feet, he might be the best
if
player.
If Barco could have scored 100 goals, he'd have been the best player in Atlanta.
I look at the last two games without Andrew Gutman, and so you take away Caleb Wiley's offensive production because you're pulling him back further on the field. You also take away Gutman's defensive ability, where I think that he shines a little bit more than Caleb Wiley does in that role. And then you're still not giving up more goals. You're still scoring. I mean, we still scored 2 away at Toronto.
Yeah.
So the way I'm feeling right now is I feel great. Like it's hard to, especially I feel like there's a decent amount of, I don't know if parity is the right word, because I'm not seeing teams that I wouldn't normally see. And we're not seeing that. I mean, the teams in the playoff part of the table are pretty consistent, but like, I feel like from top to bottom or top to like, I don't know, 10th, there's not a whole ton of difference between those teams right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the East is kind of up for grabs at this point.
Yeah. I think the East has been the strongest conference for the past
you look at
6 years.
I mean, you look at Philly. Philly's not cooking yet, right? Like, and you look at what they've done the past couple of years, like you have to expect they're going to pull a Seattle, right? Like even if they're sandbagging right now, they're going to be, I mean, I know they've had midweek games and whatnot with CCL,
they've got Gazdag, and he could be a potential MVP.
Yeah. They're a good team.
They've got a system. They've got a system and a coach where you got to think that by the end of the year they're going to be
a dick, but
by playoff time.
Hey, I did want to mention something because Kevin, you brought up Barco there, and the difference to me between Barco and Almada, it is the fact that Almada will stay on his feet where Barco didn't go down. But I think the reason why that happens is because Almada just has confidence because he knows what he can do with the ball at his feet, and Barco did not have that confidence.
Well, it's almost
Barco
like
was much more. Barco was happy to go down and get fouled, and
it's almost like Almada has seen where he's headed rather than I don't see that. Like I don't see those 2 steps ahead. Again, it's the 4D chess analogy, right? Like Almada almost says to himself, in my opinion, like rather than going down right now at first contact, I can see if I stay up and where these players and sight lines are headed, that this link up play is far more beneficial than taking the free kick from here that ultimately leads to just a turnover in possession and a counterattack from the other side. Like, I think that's that differential between the two. However, it's neither here nor there. We've got Almada now, and we're all the better for it. But and I think that's really just the thing that stands out to me is that, like, again, I can see certain things during that broadcast this weekend against Toronto where there's like, oh man, like if Almada's there in possession right now, like that's an easy in on goal because somebody's cutting in, whether it's Lennon or ETN or whoever. And even though it doesn't lead to that, like chances are created or whatever, but that's the thing that Almada really brings is like, aside from the shit that I see, like there's some link up play that he puts out there. Like he's distributing balls where I'm like, fuck, like I could not have even foreseen, like I would have to go back and rewind it to even see a player making the inkling at making that run or that step or that move to be in a position to make that pass,
Yeah. And I couldn't think more highly of Almada as a player. And I think Dan is with me on this. Like, I think he has the potential to go to the top of the game. Like I think he could be literally among the best. Like, he's 21 years old.
What's your number, Joe? What's your number? What are you selling him for?
Ooh, let's go around the horn because we've already done it preseason. We can't answer, but you guys can answer.
Kevin gives me shit.
What's the Almada number in a transfer window, whether this summer or in the offseason?
Well, can I before we do that, can I throw something out there?
Yeah,
I'm very like I wish, Joe, next time you get a chance, ask Almada. Like, how big of an impact was it to go to the World Cup? How many minutes did he play?
Like 15
in one game.
like that.
How much of an impact was it to just be selected, be like the last selection to that team, watch the team go through all that it did through the World Cup, and not be a part of like the fabric that made that team win in a large sense? And because I wonder if that kind of helped him realize, maybe not realize, but maybe it kind of solidified that
I got a taste. He got a little taste.
I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
Or I got to be able to rely on everybody else. I got to be able to, spread the ball around. Think about Argentina and where they were the last 4 years. It's all Messi. You got to win us this World Cup. You got to win us these trophies. You got to win us everything. And then you get to a position where, like, okay, we're here, and you lose the first game. All of a sudden, you can't, like, you gotta be a team. And I wonder how much that had an effect on him. Not that he wasn't a good player here before the World Cup, but I wonder, watching that go down and watching that kind of transpire the way it did, I wonder how much that played into his psyche, into the mentality into his mental, into his mindset as a player moving forward, and how that'll help him as a player, for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
He's a World Cup. He's a World Cup winner. I'm not saying that, like, I just wonder how much that might have played into the player.
Surely, he's 21, but he's witnessed.
It's a fantastic lesson.
What exactly? He's witnessed what it takes to win from all the people in that squad, like Enzo Fernandez, Di Maria, Messi, Otamendi. Dibu Martinez. He's witnessed all of those things. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a World Cup as the star player. To me, and of course, I'm insanely biased, I think he has the potential to be the next Messi.
Oh, God. Let's hear the numbers, boys.
Hold on.
This is getting out of control. Dan is half a bottle deep of bourbon.
Dan poured that last little half drink.
That last shot was the next Messi shot.
I want to ask.
I could be wrong.
You could be wrong.
I wouldn't.
That's the ceiling.
This is the 30. This is the 35.
Statistically, you're likely wrong.
This is the 35er bust for Barco. Dan talking.
I'll put it out there. Like, I don't want to compare him to Messi, but when I say, like, I think he can reach the top of the game, I mean like a potential Ballon d'Or style kind of player. Like, I think he could.
Like
I think
Messi?
that's at the top of the possible trajectories of his career going forward.
I have a quick question.
I would say 35.
Go ahead. You said 35?
I'd say 35, and I feel like that's underselling it a little bit, but it is
Totally.
kind of the reality
Don't be scared of Kevin.
of the market right now. I want to say 40 so bad, but
I have a quick question. I want you to add on to your price tag.
Inflation though, so you got to add the 8% at least at this point.
Bigger impact: witnessing a World Cup win or the open letter from Resurgence. Go.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
Well played, dude. Well played.
What has been a bigger motivating factor?
I
for
love
him?
this podcast so much.
I think the best person to answer this is Payson.
Yeah, let me take that point by point.
Do you think you
Hour
read the
three,
open letter?
here we
Do
go.
you think
Are
you
you
even read the
stretching
open
like
letter?
you getting ready for another one? Like
It's that duck meme.
duck meat.
You know the duck meme,
Oh,
or is it
yeah.
a swan meme?
I got
Whenever they like
Yeah.
head back. And, anyway, sorry.
Sorry, Payson.
Payson, what's your number?
Oh, number 40. Let's say 40. No, what was Almiron, like 28 or something? What was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he was
I mean,
also
it's
like
going to be
26, 27 years
I
old.
want to say 40 now.
I think it'll be more than that.
No, you're locked in at
Oh, you
35.
can-
No, I'll allow
locked
it.
in.
I'll allow
Joe
it.
had 5 seconds longer to think about it. I'm gonna say 40.
Plus, you got these European clubs who see, World Cup winner. Ooh.
Yeah,
And he's,
yeah.
from Argentina.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll up the price.
Mario Götze.
And I mean, I think he'll get picked up by not your Newcastles of the world, but, your Liverpool, the top 3 or 4 clubs in one of the top leagues in Europe. So I think they're going to pay
I'm
pretty handsomely for a young dude like that.
I'm a Tottenham fan. I would love Tottenham to sign him.
It would,
They honestly need a player like him.
I
I'm trying to
said top
think, so-
4, Joe. Top 4.
Almiron is clearly like maybe it's not like the most deepest of stamps or whatever, but he's made his stamp on the Premier League in his own way. He's
Hell yeah.
he's created his.
No, he's done great,
made
and I'm not
headlines.
saying he didn't, but maybe they
no.
see that, and
And he weathered 2 seasons of utter shit as well to get
his
to
name is
Yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Bruce. You address him by name.
No, but like he's clearly Almiron has clearly like made his name known. And
That's
everyone understands or knows, at least, optimistically, I want to say that everyone knows the connection he has to MLS, specifically Atlanta United. If the Premier League gets a second player from Atlanta United, does that suddenly start like, oh shit?
Fuck yes.
Like, does that start like
yeah.
the kind of the I don't know.
Fuck
the-
a South
the- the-
American
the
pipeline.
conver-
That's a world pipeline, baby.
Well, no, the
You're drinking
conversa-
out of a fire hose at that point.
Does that start the conversations in terms of, okay, well, we now know that Atlanta United, whenever they do sell a player to Europe, like we got to talk
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, not specifically to Europe, but to the Premier League, we got to talk about this because this is a player that we know that holy shit. I wonder is there another team in MLS that has done something like that yet?
I mean, they've
In
supplied players
recent years.
They've supplied they're
Philly
not
and-
as impactful, but Jack
Philly, yeah.
Harrison, Aronson. Did Aronson come from Red Bulls or something? Did he?
Well, first,
Philadelphia.
Philly, yeah.
NYCFC.
No, he did, but he went from MLS to Leeds.
Oh,
I
right.
say
Yeah,
I say we
yeah.
have to. Who?
That rebel.
Aronson.
Oh yeah, Brendan Aronson. Yeah. But I would say no.
But
He,
he hasn't
went to,
made
he
a-
went to Salzburg.
But
Okay,
has he
that's
made-
what I
has-
was asking.
Oh,
has he
that's
made-
right. I forgot.
has
No,
he
he
made-
hasn't made his
Okay.
impact as Almiron. But I'm just saying, like, and then Turner has been. I don't think he's a starter at Arsenal yet.
No.
No, he
Uh,
plays for the cup games.
I feel like that's also not the same because he obviously doesn't score goals.
No, but if you're talking
good.
about just teams selling to like top flight teams in Europe, it is kind of hard, right? Because if I look at NYCFC, you look at Tati Castellanos, he went to Girona though, right? Like they're owned by Citigroup. Jack Harrison went to NYCFC, owned by Citigroup, right? Or maybe he went
went
backwards.
from there
yeah.
to Leeds.
Yeah, he went from City. No, he went to Man City and then he went to Leeds.
Oh.
I think, or maybe he went from Man City to New York City to Leeds, or whatever.
Here-
But like
here's-
you're looking at like this interconnectivity of like Aronson went from not Aronson, but like Caden Clark went from New York Red Bulls straight to RB Leipzig.
Mhm.
So like you are seeing teams that are producing those guys, but at the same time, some of it's like
But it's not. So it's not like that.
parent clubs.
It's not the Almiron type. Like Almiron's the
Right.
2x point. Almiron is that.
Alphonso Davies.
He's
is
the
only
ideal
other- yeah.
signing. He goes
Right.
straight into the Premier League
Davies too, yeah.
as a starter.
So
And he's
that's
scoring goals.
that's what I thought of Alphonso Davies, but also was it Vancouver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Alphonso Davies.
They obviously don't have a like a trend of doing. I mean, neither does Atlanta United, but they don't have a trend of doing it on multiple occasions. Whereas Atlanta United, if they were to sell Almiron at some point to a Premier League club, that would be
Almada.
to
Yeah.
what did I say? Almada to a Premier League club. That would be fingers crossed. Hopefully, 2 out of 2 that they've sent
Right.
second. They've sent a second player, and I don't know that any MLS team has done that in recent years, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think Almada needs to probably spend a little bit of time in the championship in a team like Birmingham City to really cement,
Can you mute his mic or
He's
Rex
the
him?
pace and the physicality of English football.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Anton Trusty, but of course he's on loan from
What,
Arsenal.
Eric? I don't think you gave us your number.
Yeah,
did
Eric
you?
and Dan. Eric, what's your number?
I'll steal Joe's 40 million.
Yeah.
It was Payson's
That's
number.
right.
by the
That
way.
was mine, dude.
Mine.
Joe
Mine.
stole
Wow.
Are you
Payson's.
going Price's Right rules?
Wow.
40.1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
Well,
dollar.
now that both of you have said 40, I think Joe just changed his number again to 45.
It was 35 on the nose, but then it had a 40 after.
Escalation in there, right?
How about this? Saudi Arabia swoops in and pays 100, baby.
Any other thoughts on the state of the club?
Y'all
or
didn't give your
trajectory?
numbers, or we've already.
We've already.
But I mean, are we all like in the 35, 40 million range? Like,
Yeah.
that's all the same number. at
I'm
that point.
the low ball. I think I said 30 or 32,
Yeah.
just because I think it's a little bit of a big jump considering
It's
Miggy
the
was,
low self confidence.
How much did Chelsea pay for Mikhailo Mudryk? Like
Oh,
80,
wasn't it
80, 90 mil, maybe
only
100 million
80?
euros?
Probably surely
Yeah,
100.
Chelsea's out of control. Yeah, it's funny whenever I hear or see, it's like, well, he could surpass Miguel Almiron's transfer records. Like,
He
could.
better.
Yeah.
He better surpass that.
If he does,
No, I definitely think, again, I think he should as well. He better. But again, the jump from 28 to 40, I don't know what the
Yeah.
While we're looking at it in a vacuum in MLS, in Atlanta United's backyard, so to speak, like I think it's easy to sort of get jaded by that without the worldview perspective that the Premier League has. And I think that ultimately, like the MLS's reputation and their price tag is going to fight against them more so than the product on the field. And if your marquee top level product is Miguel Almiron at 28 million, I think that's going to hinder that 40 million price tag more so than the product on the field. Like if we're just talking product, absolutely, I see what you guys are coming from, and to your point about 70 and 80 million dollar signings, like I get it, but ultimately, like Almada is going to be hindered by the fact that he plays in the MLS at the end of the day. And I think that it may be closer to the 30 million price tag, rather whether or not we think he's worth 40 or not, just because somebody at a negotiation table is going to say, why are we going to pay this for a league and a team that's ultimately unfounded in the level of competition as it relates to our sort of level of play that we have week in and week out. You know?
I think that like MLS is getting better, but I think, to be honest, I think he's buoyed by the fact that he's not an American national.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
unfair.
Absolutely.
being an Argentine, yeah.
And being an Argentine
Yeah.
rather than the league. Like
Yeah.
No doubt.
there is American players are severely underrated.
Yeah.
And I think whatever the number ends up being is going to tell us a lot about that, Kevin. Like I think it's going to tell us a lot about how clubs think about MLS and how they think about Almada's production and success that he's had here.
But I don't think anybody's going to make the argument that it's going to be a retraction from the bar that Miggy's set. And to Eric's point, like I think that you set a new record, whether or not it's 12 million in excess of what that current record is or not. You know, we're still setting some new bar. And who cares if it's, ultimately we want it to be 40, right? Because we think he's worth that. But if it's 32, 35, 33, like, it's sort of a snub. But at the same time, like to Eric's point, like you now got a proven track record as a club of taking players and elevating them to the next level, especially if he goes over there and really performs. Like that's a springboard to really open up the floodgates of like, okay, that jump from 28 to 32 or 33 or 35 may be that jump, but the next one may go from 33 or 35 to fucking 50 or something like that. Like who knows what it may be.
And I think it'll be so much fun to see how he responds. Almada responds to that pressure that will inevitably come with being like, if he's a 40 million, if you were like a Liverpool fan, you hear that like your team is spending $40 million on a player from MLS. Like that's going to be, he's going to have to prove himself. And so there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I think he'll surpass those.
If you're Liverpool, I mean, it's like,
but yeah, I was gonna say like
it, 40 million.
Is that like not going to the Goodwill and finding like a good find?
Dude, you guys obviously are not Liverpool fans.
I'm just saying, like, is that not in Premier League? Isn't 40 million for a really good player?
Yeah, we lose track of the money they talk about versus what we talk about.
That's like Wolverhampton Wanderers money.
You guys are hurting Tim's feelings.
Unless
right now.
I mean, unless
can I be clear about something? How much should we get Almada? How much should we bring Almada in for?
25,
16,
no, 16.
Something like that.
As long as it's over 16, I don't care what the number is.
Right.
Because it's not my money. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like I do want to throw this out there that I think a better benchmark for what to expect from an outgoing MLS South American transfer to say English Premier League is John Duran going to Aston Villa for $22 million. 8 games, hasn't scored a goal for Aston Villa. Yeah, they paid over the odds for him. Granted, I mean, I think Aston Villa, I don't know if Emery had taken over at that point, but like probably panic buying, and now they're sitting whatever 6th or 7th that they're in right now.
That's
but
really fucking annoying.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. How does it feel to see both them and Wolves in Premier League
over Birmingham?
Over Birmingham, yeah.
So here's a win for America in the geopolitical arena because Birmingham City are owned by a Chinese Hong Kong businessman. If you really want to like go in, Arthur Blank needs to just go and buy Birmingham City because you're in the championship. You're gonna get them for like less than
pennies
you bought Almada for, and then you've got a great place to just. They can be a feeder team to Atlanta United and then have a state. I mean, I think to me it's a slam dunk.
He's been working this on this pitch.
Bulletproof plan right there.
All we do is loan players from Arsenal and Man United.
And then can it be like our partnership with Aberdeen where like we need a backup striker and we let Christian Ramirez go to Columbus instead?
But it's a legitimate league.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
The Scottish Premiership is dog shit. That's what it means. And the Championship is much better. I mean, that's what needs to happen in my view of the world.
It's we could probably do this all night.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hold on. Joseph Martinez hate hour. That's what this is, right?
Oh,
okay.
Here's
what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do because we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. We're gonna do a minute. We're gonna do this is our 200th episode, so we're gonna do a 2-minute timer for everybody for any rants or any comments that they want to air around the horn. And I want to also mention that this has been so much fucking fun. I don't think we need to go another 200 episodes before we do this kind of show again. Even if it's the quarter way through the season, maybe once every quarter of the season we try to do something like
quarterly
this.
Meeting. It would be
quarterly meeting, the quarterly census. We'll figure out. The quarterlies. I like it. The quarterlies. Our quarterly estimate, maybe. So we'll definitely have to do this regularly. But yeah, we'll set a 2-minute timer. Whatever it is on the top of your head.
I can't go 2 minutes though. I can go 2 seconds.
No. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't have 2 minutes worth of rant.
That's what she said.
Welcome to Home Before Dark, baby. Let's go. Just
walked right
damn load.
2 minutes.
That was. I didn't walk into that one. I sat down.
No, whatever it is you need to get off your chest. We'll go around the horn. Eric, why don't you start us off for the Joseph Martinez portion of the show here?
I was right. That's it. I'm done.
That's all you need.
I was right.
That's all you need.
So along with those, we'll do sign-offs and closings as well. So Eric, Mouths of the South, what you're doing with Tenderfoot Media, whatever it may be, what do you got for the people? Where can they find you? Is it just the solo Eric Quintana show now?
It's not even a show at this point. I think we haven't officially called it quits, but look, if someone wants to take it over, feel free. I'll give you all the passwords, and you can do with it what you want.
We'll make sure we lump it in somehow into our quarterly prospects here.
You can keep it going. You can keep it going because
we should just take the Twitter handle. Just really piss off the fans.
It's up for sale. It's up for sale.
I like it.
You can use it how you want. But no, Eric G Quintana on Twitter, and I mean that's it. MOTS podcast if you still want to follow us, but we're not really putting anything new out there just because
I'm just here for you, man.
I don't have time.
We're just here for you. We're just here for you.
If someone wants to lead the charge on uploading and editing and all that stuff and take it over, and I'll just show up.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
I'm just excited that we get to add to our credits, like not just produced by Eric Quintana, but guest host Eric Quintana, so that we can be up for a Webby next year. So I'm really excited.
Can you imagine if we're up for a Webby? There's something seriously wrong with the Webby.
I'm just saying, if you want to take it over, know that it comes with a lot of responsibility. You got to take over that legacy of the Mouths of the South production, and
hard pass.
It's all you, and I'm just going to show up. I'm going to go for an hour, and then
hard pass.
Sign off, and I'm done.
Hard pass. Payson, 2 minutes or less.
Oh, well, just
Eric set the bar at 2 seconds, so I think you got it in you.
It was a strong.
I just want to promote that you can find me on at Paysoninho still on Twitter, but also I got a secondary gig at helping boomers figure out how to watch these games on Apple TV. My mom calls me every damn time and asks me how to find the game. So if you need help with that, I can help you with that. And otherwise, just enjoying being a fan. And I'm going to see the LAFC game in Los Angeles this year.
Oh, that'll be a blast.
So I'm super psyched for that. And I'll report back on what I find out from my research in LA.
I love it.
Going into enemy territory.
I love it.
Wear your camo.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to wear Atlanta United colors with pride, but just pray for me.
Forest kit, camo, tomato, right?
Wear the new parlay kit.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think I've ever seen ice blue camo. I guess if you're playing like Rainbow Six and you're in Siberia or something.
I'm convinced the new parlay kit is like one of those patterns that's supposed to like deter the Chinese AI detection of facial software.
That's right,
bro. They just get on.
It's like reading a CAPTCHA.
They just get on to Call of Duty. They get on to Warzone. They look at the latest like skin that's out there, and they just like gun skin. They just copy and paste that.
Oh, Joe, what you got, man?
Well, obviously, Dirty South Soccer. Everybody knows about that. I also do a podcast with Sam Jones. We have a Patreon for that, so you can check that out at patreon.com/5stripefinal. If not, you can just subscribe. I should say this. The podcast has moved on to we had to rename the feed because SB Nation basically cut off all their podcasts. So if you subscribe to the Dirty South Soccer Podcast Network, you'll still be you are still subscribed to us, but you will find us at Atlanta Soccer Podcast Network. Real creative, but so that's where you get 5 Stripe Final, which we do every week. But if you want more episodes, we do like interviews and stuff with people. You can get that on our Patreon at 5 Stripe Final. But I also just want to say thank you guys for putting this together because it was great fun, and
of course,
I can't wait to come back.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun.
It really has, and I mean, I gotta say, I love 5 Stripe Final. I'm sorry, but it's great. One of my favorite Atlanta United podcasts.
Why are you apologizing?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say it. It's a good podcast.
He looked at Tim in his face like, I'm sorry, Tim, I let you down.
Tim, that's the best one.
Now that's a podcast.
That's a podcast.
Get out of my house.
There is a minivan that is quite empty out in my driveway.
You'll see my body parts CNC'd into chopping boards.
We will.
We need to get together. We need to get together for a beer or something before one of these games. Too.
Yeah.
Oh
absolutely,
my gosh.
absolutely. We've been talking about potentially doing a live broadcast for one of these. I know you guys are obviously on the clock for the games regularly, but one of these days we'll figure something out for an away game or something like that to do a link up sort of a la the Joe Rogan Fight Companion, sort of like sync your clock to the start time and everybody kind of hang out and talk about the game as it's going on. But we'll try to figure something out. But yeah, this quarterly sounds awesome.
Yeah, we should go to the park, get a beer.
Yeah.
And then do that.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
The Park Tavern, like.
Say what?
Okay.
Like what?
The park.
The park is a,
No,
is
see,
a bar
Dan
close
lives
to
in the park,
stadium.
guys. Dan has been homeless for quite some time. That's why he's here tonight.
Dude, all of us just look at Dan and
Stay
go,
here.
what?
I've
My
got a
wife
great
kicked me
bench.
out.
I've got a great
That's
bench.
right.
It's my spot.
It's my
It's
spot.
the
Don't
language
fucking
barrier,
take
guys.
my bench.
Dude,
It's
come
the
meet my
language
birds.
barrier.
See
We
the
will not
sunset just at the right angle. You're good.
exactly.
Just like in Home Alone 2.
We will not do individual sign-offs tonight. I think collectively at Home Before Dark, before spelled B and the number 4 is the best way to do this. 200 episodes, guys.
All right.
Dan, I don't know if I told you this, but it was a sad occasion. I was coming back from a funeral, but I landed.
Great.
And we were at the gate B4. And I thought got back to Atlanta, and we were at B4.
That's the only reason
Nice.
why I went to 200 episodes. This will be the last episode.
That's
This is good to tell you now. No, and to all of you that tuned in live or will tune in later in the trap or however you found us, thank you so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell icon, whatever it may be to know whenever we go live. You guys know how we do this. We'll see you next time. As always, be home before dark.
Bye.